One of the first headlines was, I almost gave up on braids, but this braiding hair brand saved my life. I don't have to spend much because our organic traffic and conversion is insane. We're at like a 5.56. We were at like a almost 7% conversion rate like a couple weeks ago. And that's all based off of organic or direct search. This is a $1 trillion industry, man. Not just for, getting your hair braided like how mine is now, but braiding hair is used for so many different things, right? To increase volume, to create different looks for characters. And so I would love to become like one of the premier providers for hypoallergenic braiding hair to help people to make the switch.
Kadidja, welcome to the DTC Podcast. Can you give us the story behind Dosso Beauty? Tell us what inspired you to create a hypoallergenic braiding hair brand.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me first, Eric. What inspired me to create a hypoallergenic braiding hair brand was me having an actual allergic reaction to braids. So in about 2018, I lived in New York City. It was very cold outside. I had a short cut. And I was like, my head is a little cold. Don't want to wear a hat all the time inside. Let's get our hair braided. So I went to go get my hair braided, and I was already conscious because I already have sensitive scalp and skin. Always have, since a child. So I went to go buy a brand that was supposed to be pre-cleansed, right, of toxic chemicals. When I mean by pre-cleansed, 99.9% of the braiding hair that exists in the market is made of a connectiline fiber that is coated with tons and tons of toxic chemicals. And so this brand that I bought was supposed to be cleansed of all those nasty things. I have the hair installed, spent about $250, sat there for about 8 hours, and I had such a crazy allergic reaction that my scalp was purple. There was a ton of bumps and things going on, and the technical term is I was having dermatitis issues. I immediately took it out, and I was like, this is kind of crazy. Let me ask my audience. So I polled on Instagram, and about 200 people within 24 hours said that they also have allergic reactions to braids. That's what sparked my knowledge and my want for starting my own hair extensions brand.
Super cool. How did they get away with it? When, how can you say that your product is totally, I think this is the trend across all beauty right now, is this trend for clean beauty and people realizing that there's all these harsh chemicals in these products that they're using every day. Is it something that still goes on? Do companies still claim to be sort of like clean when they're not?
That company still sells their hair in the market. I actually went into the store every day and saw it. So a couple things. Number one, there is not a lot of regulation specifically around the hair extensions market, right? And so when we talk about claims and things like that, you really it's up to you to whatever you want to put on the packaging, you can put it there, right? Unless someone challenges you, especially when it comes to hair extensions. Now, if we were talking about anything that was medical grade, obviously that needs to go through the FDA, but even for edge control, those items, certain cosmetic and hair care products do not go through FDA regulation. So it's not a really big regulated industry. But for myself and my customers, we actually just finished up a Princeton consumer review on 100 test subjects who have sensitive skin to ensure that our products was clinically tested, dermatology tested, safe for sensitive skin. So Dosso Beauty is in fact clinically tested. Most of the other products in the market is not. And I asked the testing site, I'm like, have you guys done any other hair extensions brands? And they're like, no, we haven't.
Interesting. Okay, so let's back up.
Mm-hmm.
Let's back up to you recognizing, there's this gap in the market, using data, essentially pulling your audience. Where did you have this audience from? Was that just from your social presence, just your sort of community?
Yeah, it was my social presence. But I think even if we go farther back, I've been saying I wanted to own an organic beauty empire since I was a little girl, literally 10 years old. Kadidja, what do you want to be? I want to be like the organic version of Madam C.J. Walker. That's what I would tell people. And so even throughout high school, college, I was styling hair. I was always into hair and beauty related things. So I've amassed kind of a lot of people who are also interested in beauty by sharing just my day-to-day story. I did have the brand, our hero products, which is our hair now, was not the product that I actually started the brand with. I actually started the brand with 100% mink eyelashes because that was the most trendy product. And also because I had no clue of where to get started. And I YouTubed a video and I'm like, what's the cheapest way you can start a beauty supply store? And they're like, find a popping product, right? A product that's in the market that's going to skyrocket. And at the time, strip lashes were it. So that's how I got started. But then it evolved into the things that we kind of need in my community, that myself needed, but also that like my community needed.
Matt, first of all, thanks for telling me about Madam C.J. Walker. I was not aware of this historical figure, and it seems like she'd come on the podcast. She would be like a one of our top DTC podcast guests ever.
Absolutely would be the first one there.
She's the first self-made millionaire. It's a female self-made millionaire. It sounds like in the States, which is such a cool story, and it was on and hair and beauty products as well.
Exactly. She had the magic hair grower. That was her hero product, which she formulated based off of her experience with working with other hair care companies as well too. She has a whole documentary on Netflix. Super dope. You should check it out.
I will. Okay, so talk to me about how you went about making the actual product. How are you ensuring that it is hypoallergenic, essentially?
Yeah, so I mean, like, before we got to our actual manufacturer, obviously, like, we tested and did like a 1.5 years of R&D. I was a test dummy, right, first and foremost, because I'm like, I need to make sure this thing works before we put it out there. And so I tested it out on myself first, as well as like a lot of trusted friends to like get their opinions on the feel of it, the longevity of the hair, like how does it work. Of course, like the other second step was to talk to my hairstylist friends, right, the people who are installing the actual hair. As I was doing that, the pandemic hit. So a lot of people decided that they wanted to also DIY braids themselves, right? They're like, well, I'm not going to go to a hair salon because I can't go anywhere. So let me try it out myself. And so by that time, we were able to put out the product in the market and say, hey, this thing actually does work. We have a ton of it. Being able to also test it out at other beauty supply stores locally. At the time I was living in New York City. And so I would go to like our local beauty supply store saying, hey, like, I know that you don't have a hypoallergenic version. This is the product that I have. Please tell your customers it is more expensive, but it is well worth the wait. And so that was actually how I first got into like some of my first retail stores.
Was that B2B approach? I think that's so smart. It's because they're the ones, because I actually don't think I realized it can be an 8-hour process. So it's something that's like, it's like getting tires in a way where you have to work with a salon in most cases, or do people put them in themselves?
No, I mean, like, some people put them in themselves, but most of the time you have to go to a salon or a braider, an experienced braider who like has the skill set. I mean, this whole process between like making sure your hair is clean and then making sure that like you can part correctly, right? If you're doing it yourself, like you got to have 2 mirrors and an assistant and like a whole bunch of like other products and things that you kind of need, that like it just makes more sense to go to a professional braid salon or a hairstylist.
Cool. And so that was how you went to market, was sort of with a ground game to start. And you were getting probably really good feedback in the marketplace.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, not only did we just say, hey, we have this brand, but now we have this new product, our braiding hair, but then we started to get really good press. So some of the press hits that we got on 2019 still drive us traffic till this day. So it's really, really cool. One of the first headlines was, I almost gave up on braids, but this braiding hair brand saved my life. And, you know, like, so many consumers came flooding to us because a lot of times what people will do is they'll have a reaction to the other standard braiding hair in the market. You know, like Google, like, itch-free braiding hair, hypoallergenic braiding hair, non-toxic braiding hair, right? Like, they'll learn about it and they're like, okay, I need a new option because I'm not going to compromise my hair, my hairstyle, you know, my culture, like, because it doesn't feel like, you know, this thing is right. No, like, braids are so much bigger than just a hairstyle, right? It's culture, it's identity, you know, it's confidence, all those things. So, yeah.
And if it's swelling up and going purple and like causing inflammation, like it can be a health issue, obviously, right? So it is like, it's not too dramatic to say this saved my life.
No, literally. Literally.
Yeah. When did ads enter the picture? This is 2019. This is pre-pandemic. Everyone's going out to salons. What happened during the pandemic?
Yeah. So during the pandemic, I think that's when a lot of different things started to happen. Number one, there were a lot of really cool initiatives that like some of the big corporations would create, these like accelerator programs or these entry programs into retail. And so the first retailer that we actually were on was Walmart.com. And I just so happened to be on a call. I'll never forget. This was on Clubhouse, and her name is Angel Beasley. She is no longer with Walmart, but she was my key into the door. We were on Clubhouse, and it was a beauty related
Clubhouse. Wow.
I know, OG Clubhouse. Like,
That's OG. I remember those days so vividly.
Clubhouse
This is
was
going to
like
change
a
the
vibe.
world.
No, literally. So, I mean, but it did
Yeah.
in so many different ways, so many connections. So, got on the call and I was like, hey, my name is Kadidja. And, you know, I had a crazy allergic reaction to braids and I now have this hypoallergenic braiding hair. You know, would love to learn about the criteria in which how one can get into Walmart or on Walmart.com. She was like, send me an email. She connected me with the buyer. I got directly on Walmart Marketplace. A week and a half later, Amazon Black Business Accelerator actually reached out to me and invited me to become one of the first members of the cohort. And so that's how we started to blow up through Amazon. Related to your question of ads, right? Like, I think Amazon was actually my first time ever paying for advertising. And that was like based upon the traction and the track that we kind of had in the accelerator program. When I did start to, I mean, even outside of that, we got featured through Fuse Media. So we had TV commercials running for like 3 to 6 months, right, that were free through one of their programs. So I have spent like a good amount of money on ads, but like a couple things, like, number one, I don't have to spend much because our organic traffic and conversion is insane. Like, we're at like a 5.56. We were at like almost 7% conversion rate like a couple weeks ago. And that's all based off of organic or direct search. So people can type in DOSSO, we're the first thing that pops up, right? Even before they get to Google, where our website pops up already for us. So they're coming straight to there as soon as they see the brand or hear about the brand.
Talk about your SEO, because you mentioned all of the problem aware like key phrases that people use about itchy scalp, braids without itch or whatever. Mm-hmm. So talk about how you're sort of maximizing that SEO traffic.
Yeah. I mean, even if like we go back to my days in corporate, like before I became a like just full-time founder, I worked at a Big Four consulting firm in like customer sales, growth and insights was the practice that I was in. So I already knew like that keywords, search engine optimization, like all those things, and understanding like what the concerns of what my customer was needed, like was going to be exactly how we would go ahead and like capture the audience. Again, remember, and I mean, let me give you this fact first. Less than 3%, like the hair extensions and ethnic hair care market, right, is owned by less than 3% of Black women, yet we consume over 89% of it.
Wow.
Nuts, right?
Yeah.
But like, cause it's like, damn, like, why would we not own whole ownership? But since I am a consumer, a long time consumer for well over like 20 years, you know, now I know what I need. I know what I'm looking for. I can ask my other consumers like what they're looking for. And so I use all of those data, those pain points in order to make sure that like our SEO optimization on our meta tag field in, you know, on the back end of our website, is working well. Even every single product and video that lives on our site also has alt text, right? And so we're adding all of those keywords into alt text, those descriptors of like, what color is this? We are now also using a really cool tool called Tolstoy, which is really dope because you're allowed to sync your videos, that not only you post through your social channels, but that customers tag you in. We can post those directly to our website and then also link them to the exact colors, right, of the different hair colors that we have. So if someone is looking at a photo or video and they're like, oh my God, I love that on that model, right? They can click directly on their video and purchase and add to cart everything that they kind of need. So, you know, from a search engine optimization perspective, like whether it's Google or whether it's internal, it's always extremely important for myself and my team to make it easy for people to check out, easy for them to find what they need, easy for them to be able to see, you know, what options are available.
Super cool. And Google is prioritizing video and like SEO terms with video. So you're probably getting a boost from that with all your video content applied. Yes. Super cool. You mentioned a time where you actually turned off your ads and saw your sales grow. Can you tell me about that?
Absolutely. I mean, so we just opened up our very first retail store as well as luxury hair braiding salon in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in the States. And I've had to make a really hard decision of like turning off our ads about 2 months before we actually opened up the shop. Number one, like I want to make sure we're spending our money on opening up the shop and the store and having all the resources that we needed. But in lieu of us spending money on ads, we got a ton of amazing, great press hits that like acted as our ads of sorts. And so, I mean, like we jumped, like even on social, we jumped like 7K. We jumped up to like 10K overnight. right? Because like this one publication like posted us and then celebrities started to follow us and like, it got like so many different reshares and people were like, oh my gosh, I need this product. Right. So, those press hits were really great because not only were we educating the consumer about like the products that they actually need that are available, we gave them the place where they could find it. And now that we have a retail store, we've driven so much traffic to the store and the salon because people have been looking for a space like this.
Unbelievable. And a great a mind for content, I imagine, as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Befores and afters or things like that.
Yes.
So you have the one retail location now.
Mm-hmm.
In Philadelphia. And one of the terms that you brought up in the pre-interview was the hair desert. And I've heard of the food desert that some places in the United States are experiencing. Right. But describe the geographical considerations that go into scaling your business.
Absolutely. So, like when we talk about hair deserts, right? This is a term that I coined. We're recording, guys. So when you see me in 10 years and I have a trademark on hair desert, and it's registered to Dosso Beauty. Just remember, I said it first.
I live in a hair desert, by the way.
We love it. So what I consider a hair desert is a space or a geographic location that doesn't have really good access to hair and beauty supplies. And specifically when I'm talking about our types of hair deserts, right? It's like within the ethnic hair care market. And so unfortunately, when there, are women of color who like wear their hair in braids, right? And they're looking for a specific type of hair extension, not just a human hair extension. But they're looking for a synthetic hair extension because they want to have their hair braided, right? I've had customers say like, I have to drive 2.5 hours away just to get the hair braided, right? Get the braiding hair that I need to get my hair braided. Or, I don't have any braiders that are reliable or any braiders at all within my square, my 100 mile radius, right? And it's kind of crazy to me. Some of those places are like Silicon Valley, right? Like, when we talk about Denver, Colorado, we talk about like some of the places that are in like Central America that like there's just nothing but land, grass, and like a little town. It's like they don't know where to get their products from, right? Or like I've had customers who have flown up here to get their hair done from like Florida. I mean, driven from North Jersey, like from Delaware. People have driven from DC just to pick up their hair in person because they don't have access to it. And so when I created Dosso Beauty, my first thing that I said is that like I wanted to provide our people with access to clean beauty supplies. And so that access looks like us providing like affordable as well as like speedy delivery on products that they need every day, right? On an everyday basis to maintain their hair, to maintain their confidence, and like also for their children as well too. Like, that's another big thing is like people don't consider that like, oh, kids get their hair braided, right? Like kids need their hair to be braided and parents need their kids' hair to be braided because they don't need to do their kids' hair every day, right? They don't have time for that. They want to make sure that their kid looks presentable, is confident when they go to school, and that they have the products that they need so that it's not irritating their skin or that it's distracting them from their actual schoolwork.
It sounds like so much of your business growth has just been from, like I bet a lot, your press hits sound like mostly organic, where people are seeking you out and promoting you. Do you have someone who does PR on your side? Is that you, or are they just kind of coming to you?
No, I used to have a publicist. She is amazing. Still work with her sometimes only on big projects. She owns a company called Speak Media. So shout out to Andrea Fernandez. She's amazing, but I have not had a publicist in like 2.5, 3 years. They're just reaching out to me. Like literally these publications are reaching out to me. Sometimes like they don't even reach out. They just hear about the product. They go on our website. They learn about all the different things we do. They see some of these interviews that I've done before and they capture all that information from there. And they create these beautiful articles. And I'm like, oh my God, another press hit. This is amazing.
and that's because you have what kind of lives below PR, which is just like rabid word of mouth.
Yes.
It sounds like people, once they get the product, once they have a different experience than the maybe horrible one they had before,
yes,
they're telling everyone about it probably, right?
It spreads like wildfire. I mean, I kind of like say, I call my like, our customers the Dosso Beauty Squad, right? Because they literally like are kind of like, okay, I'm not using anything else ever again. This is the only hair that I use. This is all that I need. Like, thank you so much for this product. I get so many thank yous every day because people have been searching for a product like this. So they become lifers and I love it.
Yeah, it's funny that I was telling you in the pre-interview that there's a hair place here called Who Did Your Hair, and it's been around for since I moved here, like over 20 years ago. It's just an absolute staple in the community. And I was thinking about the name. That's exactly the name of is so well named because it's like someone sees someone's hair braided well, done well. And it's like, who did your hair? I got to know. It's just like the word of mouth is the name.
Yeah.
So, what are your goals? What's the total addressable market of braids?
I mean, this is $1 trillion industry, man. Like trillion, like it's crazy. I mean, like not just for, okay, getting your hair braided like how mine is now, but when we think about the actual, the industry of like film and entertainment, right? Like braiding hair is used for so many different things, right? To increase volume, right? Like to create different looks for characters. And so like, it's a $12 trillion industry. I think for me, like, I would love to become like one of the premier providers for hypoallergenic braiding hair to help people to make the switch, right? Throughout, direct to consumer, obviously, but like through the entertainment industry and have people just become more educated about the product that we have and like how harmful the other products are, right, in the market. And so I'm really excited to, amass my hometown Philly with the Dosso Beauty experience, do really well here for a year or two, and then also like start to open up in our other geographic locations like New York, DC, Atlanta, California, Los Angeles, and then also in Canada too, because we ship to Canada literally like 3, 4, or 5 times a week. So we have tons of customers in the UK and like all throughout Europe. In West Africa, like we already have a brand presence there as well too. So excited to like, again, provide access to all of these different geos with our product, but also with like a safe space for sensitive skin, right? Like somewhere that they can go to tell about their experience that they had and like so that they can have reassurance that they won't have another really bad experience like that.
And I was talking with, I just released this Monday, the Frost Buddy podcast, and he was talking about building a drinkware brand and talking about if he was doing it again, he'd probably create something that was consumable because people are only buying so many of these drinkware brands. How often are people getting their hair braided? Like what's the sort of LTV of someone once they're in here?
Yeah, I mean, like if you are a protective style person, right, like you're probably getting your hair braided either once a month or at least 6 times a year. Right. And so the cool thing about it is that like if you are someone that does get your hair braided pretty often, you're probably coming back at least once a month, once every other month, or you're stocking up during a sale and then we'll see you again in 3 months. But when we talked about the B2B, right, that's where that comes into play because braiding hair salons like still run throughout the year, whether somebody comes to them once, twice, there's always a revolving door of customers that are coming in. And so our lifetime value is like infinite. Like I said, again, once they get the hair and they're like, oh yeah, nah, I just need it. Like, I just need it just to have it on hand, right? Like just in case I want to get my hair braided and all those things. But another thing that we will be doing very soon, so stay tuned, is we will be actually opening up a app, a Dosso Beauty application, a mobile app. So that way we can have like a hair calendar. Right? Like mentally, like women create a hair calendar of like, oh, I'm going to get my hair cut and colored there or that way, at this time for this special event. But I think that like in order for us to truly care for our hair, we need to plan it out. And so one of the calendar features will be really, really cool, right? From a data perspective, because we can now understand like when people are wanting to get their hair braided so we can help them to calculate when they should be ordering their hair, right? When they should be ordering their products, when they should be reordering of the products that they need to maintain their hairstyle, how long they keep their hair in and other things as well too. So
I love that idea.
Yeah, it's going to be super cool and nobody else has done it before. So like, I'm excited about that and about like just giving the community again more education and like an easier experience.
I love that. And a schedule on which to consume your product. We were thinking about that for the newsletter. We're like, could we just start sending people calendar reminders for like 10 minutes in the morning to read the D2C newsletter? Right. I don't think we're going to do it, but I like that. I think that's super smart. You were talking about really wanting to get your story out and get out the story of the brand. Are you doing founder videos or anything on TikTok? I could see you being really good at them.
Yeah, so I'm not great at TikTok. I'm not gonna lie. My team is like, Kadidja, TikTok. And I'm like, I am not a TikTok girl. Like, I don't think that that's really my bread and butter because I do sometimes, like, I guess people might think, even us having this conversation, is like, oh, she has all the answers. She has all the things. I'm the first person to tell you that, like, I mess up, right? Like, I am not perfect at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I do think
that's
that,
what people like. That's what people want to see on those platforms,
I agree, right? And like, I don't know that like TikTok is my space, but I do put out a lot of founder videos on Instagram, right? Like, I am a visual person. I like for people to visually see that I'm in the weeds. Like, oh, we're packing orders. I'm packing orders every day, right? Oh, we're waiting for a shipment to come in. We're doing that, right? Hey, I'm on 5-10 accelerator calls to make sure that the business gets done. And so those are different ways that like I get to, get our story out there. But like I mentioned, like participating in a lot of really cool accelerators to tell my story and share my story, and also to cross, pollinate like any knowledge that I've taken from any other spaces in my life or throughout business with other entrepreneurs is another great way that I love to get, the brand out.
That's what we're doing on the DTC podcast. So I think people often get a lot of great reach outs from these. So I love kind of that community that we create from this. Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask about your biggest, like what's been your biggest like growth hurdle that you've had to overcome? What's been one of your biggest challenges that you've overcome?
Yeah, I think that one of my biggest challenges that I've had to overcome from a founder perspective is like having people on your team stay forever, right? Like you get some of those founding people who like really are like helping you to build the foundation and everything like that. But like the hard thing about especially being a solopreneur is like, okay, we need help and we want to know that people are loyal to us, right? But like also having to like have the strength to redelegate and understand that like as you grow and as they're helping you to grow your brand, like that sometimes you outgrow certain resources. Sometimes you outgrow certain spaces. And I've had to, consistently outgrow so many people, things, employees, physical spaces that like it's been eye-opening. And like I think this year, again, now opening our very first space, I'm seeing the outpouring of love and support and how many people really do rely on our product on a daily basis. It just makes me want to be even sharper, to have my team be even sharper, right? I can't let the little things, oh, you didn't send out this email. Nope, that can't slide anymore. No, like where are the metrics? How are we working on this? Because it's just too many other hands in the pot now, in the sense that like people are reliant upon us to do our job. So if one person doesn't do their job right, then the whole thing is like a domino effect, like everything falls down. So I think that's the biggest hurdle that I've had to overcome.
Especially early on, you can really, when you're all doing it together, you're all scrambling as fast as you can. It gets a family vibe sometimes in a way, more than like a workplace. And then as you scale and professionalize more, that can become a challenge when you still have some of those old tendencies.
Yeah.
What about any big mistakes? Any big mistakes that you do differently?
Oh, absolutely. A 3PL way too early. And like 3PL with like 200 plus SKUs, absolutely not. If you have more than 10 SKUs, do not get a 3PL. It will burn your cash so fast. Like, you want to be able to control your supply chain. You want to be able to control your customer's experience and journey. And like, we know that we want to scale, and like eventually you'll need like a third party logistics company to come in to help you to formulate those things. But in the meantime, like it's not smart to just go out and get a 3PL if you started a brand that requires you to have a ton of SKUs and variants.
Who's your dream influencer? Or have you already worked with them, or do you already provide them hair?
The thing is like there's so many really dope influencers. But I think that like I have some celebrity crushes that I think like I want to see them in Dosso Beauty hair, right? And nice. A few of those, one of them would definitely be Zoe Kravitz, like because she loves her braids. She is notorious for her braids. She's incredible. Another person that I think that would like loves braids as well too, that is an influencer, is Jackie Aina. I think she also loves her braids as well too. She loves a good wig, but her braids are always fire, super, super fire. And then I think Erykah Badu would probably be my third and final like celebrity crush. Like need her in Dosso Beauty.
I just saw her describing her ayahuasca trip on TikTok the other day. I'm like, I didn't know I could like you anymore, Erykah Badu.
Exactly, like she is amazing.
She is. She's a sage for sure.
Yeah.
Super cool. Well, this is a manifestation platform. So if anyone knows all those amazing celebrities, maybe give Kadidja a call and see if you can hook it up.
Please. Anybody,
thanks for coming on the podcast today. Yeah. anyone. I want you to get Who Did Your Hair. I think you got to go contact Who Did Your Hair in Victoria, BC.
Yes.
And get in there as well. What does your ground game look like now? Do you have someone whose job it is to constantly be contacting salons?
Yeah, I mean, we still have people on the ground that are like doing outreach and things like that. We have a digital marketing strategist, and she also works with a lot of our influencers that like reach out to us to want to do work with them. You can actually like apply directly on our website as well too, as a plug. So we have a like join us or like, application through Shopify Collabs where you can earn a commission for actually like sharing your code, your discount code and everything like that. And it's all automated and flowed. And then, we have a tech specialist. Her name is Tyrese. She's awesome. Ty Tech Dev. She does amazing websites. So she does all of our website maintenance, all those things there. And also, another part that we didn't talk about is I do have something on our website called the Braid Corner. So if you are in a hair desert, you can also go to the Braid Corner to find a braider that might be near you, and you can book directly with them through our website. If you are a braider and you're listening to this, please apply to be a part of the Braid Corner. We want the list to be, as robust as possible because again, like people need to find you. And so, we amass at least like minimum like 20,000 people on our website per month. If you're looking for 20,000 new customers, y'all, like, come to DossoBeauty.com.
Nice. Great plug. Thanks for coming on today. This was so much fun, Kadidja. If people want to, so first of all, go to Dosso Beauty, check it out. Where do you want people to follow your journey?
Yeah, you can follow my journey on Instagram and LinkedIn. My name is spelled Kadidja Dosso. You can find me across all platforms. Like I said, I think Instagram and LinkedIn are two of my favorite places, but I will also start vlogging on YouTube. So stay tuned for more day in the lives because I do think that like visibility is important. And as like I'm building this thing up and this empire up more and more, like I also want a video diary and document like what I'm doing and, the process that it took me to get to where I am today.
100%. I think a video, you probably already have this, but a video that tells your story of the pain of your first experience and what you've built today. I feel like founders on TikTok will do 100 variations of that video. They'll do a variation of that video every week on TikTok, and anything that works gets turned into ads. And I think that story and your relatability will just like draw people in.
Absolutely. All right. I'm going to start posting on TikTok, Eric. I got you.
Well, we'll check back in, see how you're going on your TAM. Really nice to meet you.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate you.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you're not a subscriber to our newsletter, you can do that right now at directtoconsumer.co. I'm Eric Dick, and this has been the D2C Podcast. We'll see you next time.